Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week, we're getting a little dead.
We're easing you out of if you were really loving Monster Fucker February, we hear you and we support you and we wish we could live in that too, but we're easing our way out.
Yeah, we're all dying. Every single one of us, because one thing,
It's
we
true.
are a corpse first and a bride second. So we're doing Corpse Bride.
I thought that
Wow,
was really
I really
elegantly
like what
done.
you did there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
just
think it
wanted
was
to say.
I saw what you were doing and I
Yeah.
saw how you executed it, and it's bringing a tear to my eye almost. It's
so
really
sorry I
beautiful.
interrupted with my own agenda there,
Yeah,
because
how
I should have
dare
just
you?
let the vision play out.
You do that literally every single time.
I have things that I want to say too, and I won't be silenced.
Every time I'm doing a bit when I'm introducing the movie, you
Sometimes I
interrupt it.
don't
But
know
I
you're
have
doing
also
a bit,
done that to
though.
Sydney
Yeah.
like 47 times, 42nd times.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. That's part of our gag, you know?
Well, because
We-
sometimes
we're
the
always
dramatic
doing a bit.
pause is like, is she done talking or is she not done talking? And you know, nobody wants to hear silence for too long on a podcast, am I right? So
I'll edit it out. It's
but
fine.
I also know this is a thing that I do, and I have noticed myself doing it, and I'm not sure how to stop yet. But I'll start talking while someone is finishing, just to be like, I'm going next. I have something to say next.
I have noticed that
I'm
as
in
well.
line.
I do that, and none of y'all give a shit. You're like, well, I'm going now. And I'm like, oh, okay, bye.
Sometimes like, no, I'm gonna finish what I have to say.
There's a delay, and so it makes things difficult. But I
And
also
sometimes
know
it's
that,
about
and so
body
then I'll
slamming
go,
someone to the
Sydney,
ground.
you were gonna say
Yeah.
something. Would you
We
like
did try and
to
shoot it
speak
back,
now?
to be clear. I invite you
So
to
we
take the floor,
learned.
and I will make space for you to do so.
I should get a sign that just says, let me talk, you bitches.
Yeah,
Just
sometimes
hold
I
it
do
up.
raise my hand when I'm like, I really have something to say, but I do appreciate that what you're saying also matters.
Okay,
The
but if
thing
you
that-
haven't, oh, go Monica.
No, the thing I was just gonna say, the thing is that the fact that happens on the podcast, but never once in human person when you're with Sydney, then that will never happen.
She's following radio rules too much when she's recording.
Also,
Yeah,
we normally record
too
really late
professional.
at night, and
Everybody's tired.
So
My
her
brain
spirit
is
has
so-
left her
yeah.
body at this point,
because like
which is
I'm
actually
2
rather
hours
fitting.
ahead of y'all, and so I'm always just like, it's the end of the day, and I'm like, brain.
These girls don't want to record
off.
on weekend mornings, though. They only want to do
I
weeknights, so that's the
know.
way it has
Because
to be.
I'm hungover on weekend mornings a lot of the time,
Well, what
so
if I'm
it's
fresh
in
as
our.
a daisy? Do you think about
Well,
that?
I
that's
prefer
wonderful for
the
you.
morning.
We
I
used to do weekend
was.
mornings a lot. That was crazy back in the
I
day.
know, I loved it. It was
I
so
loved
great
it.
for me.
Monica shut it down, I guess.
Monica
I
said,
never shut it
"Fuck
down.
you,
We just
bitches."
never. You guys never bring this up. Why are we airing our dirty laundry on the thing? Here's what I'm saying
to.
now. I
because
today
it's March
feel like a
now,
corpse.
okay?
We're gonna use up all
It's
of
my
our time.
birthday
All
month,
of our
so
run
we
time
need
for
to
this
be nice to
episode on
me.
Side chatter.
Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on. Except they're still gonna talk about me really quickly because I feel like a corpse right now, and I feel like it's really fitting for this.
Yeah.
You are going to
film.
be a bride, so
Oh my
Oh my
god,
God.
a little corpse,
corpse first, bride second. I'm just saying.
Oh my
Always a corpse
god.
bridesmaid, never a corpse
Corpse
bride.
bride.
You guys are gonna be corpse brides one day if that's what you want. Okay, don't you worry about it. But I have to say that I right off the bat forgot this was a musical. So that was really
I saw that text from
exciting.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I texted you guys. No one responded to me, but I was like, why are they singing immediately? And how did I not remember that they
Yeah.
sing the whole fucking time? Was
Yeah.
Frankenweenie a fucking musical as well?
I don't think so.
I don't think Coraline is Paranorman is not a musical.
Yeah.
If you're talking
Yeah,
about
but
Leica
that's
Studios
Leica.
productions.
No, I'm
This
talking
one
about the
is
Tim
Leica.
Burton ones. This is like a no, I know, but I'm talking about the Tim Burton one.
Oh.
Frankenweenie is Tim Burton
I
as
don't
well.
think Frankenweenie's I don't remember it being, but who knows? You didn't remember this being a
Beetlejuice
musical?
It's not a musical. It has.
I mean,
I'm
it
talking about the
is,
claymation
but-
ones.
performance.
Those are very different, and there is a musical of Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
But anyway,
there
it was a
is.
shock to
But it's
me.
on
But the
stage.
songs actually do rock, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to
You
report I
know,
cried again. I cried
Before
again.
we started recording, we were like, we're not going to rehash any of our problematic faves stuff because been there, done that on other Tim Burton episodes. But I will say
On
my
the
enemy,
Nightmare on Elm Street
yeah,
episode.
if you need to reference.
No, Nightmare
Nightmare
Before
Before
Christmas,
Christmas
episode. No, I did it again. Anyway,
Well,
what were you gonna
it's
say, Chelsea?
unavoidable. My enemy, Danny Elfman, did slay it this time around for me personally.
He did.
Yeah, no, the songs did slap.
Credit
They're
where
not
credit
as
is due.
memorable for me. Like I
they're
could
like-
never sing it to you, but I'm like, oh,
You're like,
jazzy,
oh.
let's go.
The musical instrumental breakdown in the Bride song, loved it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. But so if you, like Monica, have forgotten everything about this movie, according to IMDb,
I remembered every other part, but the musical part. Keep going.
that's
Sorry.
a big part of the movie.
That is a
Monica.
big part
Okay,
of the
well,
movie.
I remember the plot really well.
Okay, well, the plot is when a shy groom practices his wedding vows in the inadvertent presence of a deceased young woman, she rises from the grave, assuming he has married her.
I hated that.
Beautiful. I have to
It's
say,
very accurate.
I thought for sure I had seen this movie, but I mean, it would have been 1 bazillion years ago, so possible I did just forget everything. Now that I've
You would
watched it again,
remember.
I'm not sure I didn't just see the trailer.
I think you probably saw
Oh.
the trailer because the trailer was so memorable for me for some reason. When parts of the movie, because this came out in 2000 fucking
Five.
5. Well, like I barely had a brain in 2005. And so how do I remember the trailer for Corpse Bride so well? But I remember like every single word when it is said in the movie. I'm like, that's in the trailer, that's in the trailer, that's in the
That's
trailer.
the trailer,
I was like, I
that's the
remember that
trailer.
fucked in the trailer. Didn't have that thought when I saw the trailer for the first time because I was a child and I didn't curse in 2005. I was a very nice girl.
Wow, what
Wow.
a
That's
Wow.
over now.
Loser.
Anyway, I love this movie.
So
I love this
I
movie
will say-
so much.
this movie, Chelsea didn't read the IMDb, but if she had, she would have known.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god, I'm canceled.
Are we fighting this episode? I think we're fighting.
It's a
this
brawl.
That this is Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter's first like voice acting roles.
What's their second?
I don't know.
No one
Okay.
knows?
Oh, no.
You mean like it was each of their first voice
Yeah.
acting roles? Oh, I thought you were saying like as a duo, and I was like, okay, what
No.
else did they do?
Oh,
like,
oh.
as
They were in,
actors.
Sweeney Todd together.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah.
That's not voice acting.
But that's not voice
well,
acting.
You're using your voice and
No.
you're acting. To be clear,
True.
it's also a
They
musical.
sing real good together too, though, and you know that if you've seen Sweeney Todd, which came out after this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say like 2009.
I will say none of these people sound like Johnny Depp doesn't sound like Johnny Depp
This
really.
is good
and, like,
voice work.
voice
yeah,
acting,
like
right?
it
Like, and-
really. They're disappearing into the characters, which is what.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be like Johnny Depp all movie long.
right? Like they
He looks
They-
like him a little bit, obviously. Like that's Johnny
Yeah,
Depp.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and Emily
But,
looks
like,
like
the
Helena
hot- when
Bonham
he was
Carter
hot
like a
and
little bit
young.
also.
back in his heyday.
Yay.
When he was hot and young and he wasn't as fucked up. So
Yeah,
it's
she
actually a
knew it.
nice
Emily eyes.
memory.
That's Helena.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought that she so very much sounded like Helena Bonham Carter, so that's so interesting. So I was like, "Damn, that's Helena Bonham Carter!" Like the whole time Emily was on the screen. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I just really took Sweetie Todd to heart.
Monica's
Really
like
took
hyper focused on Helena Bonham Carter's voice.
I'm actually really thinking about her all the time, and it sucks because she's so problematic, as we discussed in the Nightmare Before Christmas episode.
What are you
I said
gonna
it right
do?
this time.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I will
But,
say,
yeah,
watching this movie, I was like, how come Disney never hired Tim Burton and Danny Elfman to make a Haunted Mansion movie? Because they haven't had
Yeah.
a good one so far. That said, I looked up the Haunted Mansion movies to see if he was involved with for them. And I did say that there was a Muppet Haunted Mansion movie that I haven't seen, so I bet actually that one's very good. Can't speak to it, but you know, Muppet quality. It came out in 2021, I think, as probably like a streaming special would be my guess. But
How did I miss that?
Haunted Mansion movies, generally speaking, a flop. They're not hiring the right people. What's going on over there? Tim Burton,
No,
Danny
I
Elfman, get them in
know.
the studio.
Okay, but also a claymation haunted mansion movie would
Exactly.
fuck.
This is the vibes that the
Wow.
Haunted
Yes.
Mansion ride has, and
Has.
I don't know why they're not trying to harness that.
No, that's so true.
Disney,
As someone who
hire
just
us.
went on that ride with Chelsea 5 seconds ago, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it really
It was a month
screams
ago.
that.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay, well, it's been a hard month. That's insane.
Oh, that's super
so
real.
real.
That's
Oh
why
my
we're all
God.
corpses. I keep
That's
getting
why we're all corpses, because we live in America.
I keep getting zits and being like, what's going on? Am I experiencing stress of some kind? Why? And then
Why?
1 second later, it's like, oh yeah.
Oh yes.
The world is
Okay, I
ending.
get it
No,
now.
this is
Corpse
the level of my
status.
mental health. This is one of my favorite movies. I love it so much. It is very sad. It is about dead people, whatever. I
Corpse,
had
you
a
know.
huge existential crisis in the middle
Yeah,
of
tell me
this.
about what was
I was-
going on with you yesterday. Not in
Oh my
terms of your life
God.
if you don't want to, but in terms of your experience with this movie.
Yeah, tell everybody
I-
on that listens to the podcast.
Air out your drama, girl.
I just well, we've already got what episode was it when Sydney tried to heal my fear of death or whatever and said something rather dumb, but she really tried. It wasn't dumb. It was just like it's cool
Why would you
and
say
so
that to
it's
her right
fine.
now?
Yeah, okay, I have said
we
it. I love
fighting?
you.
We're about to be.
We're fighting.
The
We
girls are
joked that
fighting.
it
The
solved
girlies are
my
fighting.
problem with my fear of death, but it did not actually because it was just something silly. I'm sorry, it wasn't dumb. It was just like dumb
It's
and
just
like hee hee
goofy.
ha ha. We're just being goofy, silly girls, whatever. Anyway, for
backtracking.
some
She's
reason,
Digging her own grave, which is appropriate because she's corpse bride.
Right.
because I'm just gonna lay down and die at the end of this episode. No, but for real, I don't know what it was, but I was like, this is so sad, and everyone's dead, and we're all gonna die, and probably soon. Because
Maybe,
I'm
girl.
also. The apocalypse feels rather nigh, and so this was hitting really hard yesterday. I cry every single time. I really do think this
Yeah.
movie is so tragic,
I got
and
emotional at one point.
Yeah.
like it's just a really, 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 really sad story, and there's a resolution for Emily, but like it's not the resolution that like anyone wants because it's not nothing can change like what happened to her that she
Yeah.
was murdered and like she can never like she doesn't get life again, that sort of a thing.
Not just
one
murdered,
of-
but scammed and conned.
Mhm.
Betrayed.
Yeah, and like her beautiful, like open heart was used against her and brought her to the end of her life. Like it's just a really, really sad story. And I don't know. This made me think of School Spirits, so I'm just gonna really quickly plug School Spirits. My
Everybody
new
needs to be
favorite. It's
watching School
my favorite
Spirits.
show. I love it so much, but it's like a bunch of dead ghost people, and sometimes I'm watching it and I'm like, that's so sad. They're all dead. It's like the whole
Yeah.
concept of the show, but I'm like, that's so sad. So sometimes I just get sad about when people are ghosts.
That's
Okay.
really understandable.
Sue me.
I do have a potential cure for you, which
Oh.
is that I have another movie for you to watch later tonight when we're done here.
Okay.
Because you know how we were talking last episode about how Guillermo del Toro watched The Creature from the Black Lagoon and was like, how come they can't end up together? How come she can't end up with a monster? So he made Shape of Water. I think Diablo Cody must have seen this movie and then she went home and wrote Lisa Frankenstein. And was like, what if they do
Oh.
end up with a dead corpse? And that could be beautiful and better, actually,
That
than
would be
human
nice.
love, maybe.
Yeah.
That
I
would be
love
a
that.
nice. Well, and that's one of the things that's interesting about this movie too, and stupid that I had this reaction. I'm just on my period. Honestly, I would be so honest. I'm on my period. That's another reason.
We've talked
In
about
case you
periods
wanna
before.
know.
I mean, yeah, let's
Yeah,
hear it
yeah.
out. Let's.
I'm on my period. It's been an emotional
Sydney,
week.
when are you
I'm
getting yours
bloated
next?
and I'm breaking out.
I just ended my ovulation
Oh.
cycle.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
we're
different
now
vibe.
in the the luteal phase.
Wow.
So I'm about
Wow,
to be moody
I don't know.
and mad.
I'm not as regular
I
as
don't
I
know
used
what
to
that
be.
means.
There's
I
a
have an
time in high
IUD,
school
so
when it was like every fifth. This is crazy, actually. Something just came together
Every
beautifully in
fifth
my life.
Tuesday?
Every fifth Tuesday, I was like, that was period
Wow.
day, baby.
wow, that's insane. I have an IUD, and so my period's a surprise every time, and it's also a
Yeah.
secret, even to
Yeah.
me. And so
Yeah.
I'll just have like an insane emotional breakdown, and then 2 days later, I'll be like, oh,
Oh.
Some days you're
oh.
just like feeling so bad and you're like, why does my body feel bad? And then one day later you're like,
I don't even get physical symptoms really. I literally just have an emotional breakdown once a month where I hysterically cry about something and it's a huge deal. And then I'm
It's
like,
the
God
end of the world.
damn it. I thought I was authentically having a breakdown, but it's
Oh my
actually
God.
just being a woman.
I
Well,
just
honestly,
get
I'm
really
glad you weren't having
hungry.
authentic breakdowns.
Yeah, no, it's true, but
But
I hate that it's also
yeah.
like influenced by that.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God,
I thought I
girls
had
can
every
be
right
dramatic
to
because
cry.
of period after all. That's
Ah.
sexism in the patriarchy. And
It's
it is,
ridiculous.
but also men just don't admit that they're hormonal sometimes too. It's a human experience.
Well, okay. I know we're talking about periods and I love that. And I think we should keep doing it for another episode.
We're doing a hard
and that's the
pivot on this
episode.
episode.
No.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
No, but
Is it gonna
before
be
we like
relevant
get
next
into
time?
the whole movie, I like the one thing of research that I did for this was
Tell
I
me.
found this cool video and apparently and you guys might have seen this because y'all are on TikTok and I am not. But apparently
are.
there was this viral TikTok, I don't know how recent, but at some
Oh,
point in
I think
the
I know
time
you.
of TikTok about Corpse Bride and the inspiration behind it. And there's actually, okay, I'm just gonna make sure I cite my sources here because I really enjoyed this guy's video, even though he does do a couple of like goofy YouTuber things that I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Just like the way he speaks, I was like, I'm watching a YouTube video, you know what I mean? But at
Quick
the same time,
interjection.
it was really
Your little
cool.
curly is looking so good right now.
Oh, thank you so
Oh, yeah.
much. Thank you so much. I don't think those came across in my picture for
This
the
one,
YouTube thumbnail, but
that side, really good.
thank you. This one fought me real hard, so we don't talk about her.
Well, that's why you just
Anyway,
take
the
your picture
guy's
from an angle.
name. Yeah, I did do this angle, and I took my AirPod out, so it would really hit.
Slay.
Anyway, the guy's name is John Solo. And he does like YouTube videos where he gets into like the messed up origins of like your favorite movie or TV show or something like that, like where it came from. So it's like the very messed up origins trademark is the series, which I thought was really interesting. But he basically saw this same TikTok that went viral where basically this girl was like Corpse Bride is based off of a Jewish folk tale.
Oh, I
And
saw just Jewish folktale come up when I Googled it earlier to
yeah,
find the IMDb.
and so that girl's TikTok and hopefully it's linked in here somewhere. I never found that source unfortunately. But
Maybe we can hunt it down.
yeah, hopefully we can hunt that down. But she was saying that it was based off this Jewish folk tale called the Demon Tree. But this guy John Solo took that and ran with it and did like 20-minute long in-depth video on it and found that Tim Burton actually in an interview said that he was inspired by Jewish folktale for this story, but he was inspired specifically by the story The Finger, which is a different one. But there are
Ooh.
connections to both The Finger and the Demon Tree, and they're both from this Jewish folktale like anthology book called Lilith's Cave, which is a sick, nasty name, and I love it.
Do you know
But
who
anyway,
Lilith is?
yeah, I know who Lilith is.
Lilith,
Lilith
the
was
first wife of
Get the-
Adam and the mother of demons? Yeah.
Erased from the
Uh-huh.
narrative. Everybody should Google her if they don't know.
Not from
Yeah.
our narrative.
So it's very interesting. So I'll just really quickly give an overview of the two stories, and then it's pretty obvious. But the finger one is pretty straightforward, almost exactly this story. I like the changes that Tim Burton made because if it was just this, it would be fucking crazy and it couldn't be a kids thing. But basically, same concept, except there's three men. They're walking around in the forest the day before one of their weddings. And they're all razzing each other and they're razzing him because he's getting
Boys
married
being
and they're
boys.
being dudes and bros. They're
Guys
poking
being
each other.
dudes.
Guys being dudes. Oh my God. I'm interrupting myself. I was at the bar the other day and I literally saw these two men were hugging and they're having like a nice intimate hug time. And I was like, good for them. And the man saw me observing them being bros and dudes that hug and are nice, intimate friends. And he was like, just by the way, we're not gay. He's gay, but I'm not gay. I'm married and I'm having a child. But I love him, but we're just hugging for fun.
Love is
And
love.
it was literally
Love is love, but I am straight.
it was literally like two guys sitting 5 feet apart in a jacuzzi.
Because they're not
'Cause
gay.
it's not gay. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, sorry, I had to tell that story. Now back
Yeah.
to this Jewish folktale. So they're razzing each other, whatever. And Reuben is the name of the guy. This is what the man John Solo said. Let's call him Reuben. Reuben, who's getting married, he's like, hey, I'm gonna do a whole bit. And isn't that relatable? It's so important to do a bit. He's like, I'm gonna do a whole bit and I'm gonna act out my whole wedding right now. And so he like acts out the whole wedding. He acts out the vows, hee ha ha, and then he like puts the ring on this root on the ground. Basically, he sees these roots on the ground, but he realizes that it's a hand, and he's like, haha, this would be so funny. I'm gonna pretend to get married to this random weird hand. Which, like, let's not play with a corpse. But whatever. He does it. He puts the ring on the finger, and well, a big corpse lady comes out of the ground, and she's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna get married," and he is like, "What the fuck?" So he runs away with his boy toys, and they decide, "Let's never talk about this again." Next day, he's at the wedding to his betrothed, whatever, his fiance,
His
and
ambiance.
his enfiance. And well, they're like, does anyone object to this marriage? The corpse. This is I'm paraphrasing here. That's not how it happens. The corpse shows up and was like, that's supposed to be my husband. What the fuck? Everybody runs out except for the rabbi because the rabbi's brave. And she's like, what the fuck? This is my man. We got married.
Rabbi slay.
Okay, no, it's not a girl rabbi. This is an ancient story. Of course, it's not a girl rabbi. The
You
corpse is the corpse. The corpse is the woman. The corpse is saying, "This is my man." And then the rabbi is like, "What the fuck happened?" And basically, like, he got married to a corpse, and he had two witnesses. He literally had it's everything that you needed to do a wedding. He did it, and so then they get all the rabbis together. They're like, "What do we do?" And like it's like a little court case. And this is the part that's really funny. The corpse comes up and she's like, okay, well, we're married and that's how it is. And I died before like I could really have my my night with my mans. I got married and I died before we could fuck. And so now I'm getting married to this man and we're gonna fuck. And that's something that's very important to me actually. What's it called when you fuck for the
Consummate.
first time? And you're at consummate. She was like all about consummating the wedding with Ruben.
Otherwise it could be
She was
annulled.
all
Actually,
about
I
it.
don't know
Yeah.
if annulment exists in Jewish culture the way it does in other cultures.
I don't know
but
either.
There's got to be something.
But the rabbi was like, "Oh my god!" Everyone was like, "Oh." Ruben's like, "Oh my god! One, I have to be married to her. Two, I have to fuck her, and she is a corpse." Anyway, they work it out, and they don't get married, and she is really upset, and she screams. But then she's like, "You know what? I'm gonna embrace death," and she crosses over. As you might imagine.
Okay.
So, and then
Lots
the
of
rabbi orders
similarities.
that her body to be buried or whatever. So, okay, that's that one. The demon tree is a little bit different. The demon tree is there's a little boy and he's in the forest and he sees a finger and he does a fake wedding to it. And then a scary lady shows up and he's like, oh my God. And he runs away. 10 years later, he gets married and he's so happy. And then the next day, his wife walks out the door of their house and she gets smacked in the fucking face by a tree branch and she dies. No joke. Then
You know
a year
what?
later, he recovers. Sorry, keep going.
No. I didn't realize the story wasn't done.
Oh no, it keeps going. This one's long. I'll make it shorter though. Next year, gets married again. Same shit happens again. Gets hit by a tree branch, dead. After that, people are like, "What the fuck? This guy? Weird vibes." And so, no one wants
That's
to
so
marry him
true.
after that. They're like, "Did he
Especially,
kill those women?
yeah,
What the fuck? Like,
bad
or
luck
he's
at
cursed."
least.
Exactly. So like before he used to have like these hoity-toity high-to-do women getting married to him because, you know, he was a hot man, a hot landed man or whatever. Um but now nobody wants to marry him and so he ends up marrying sorry, this is how it's said, but like a woman from a less high-to-do place. So she is a poorer woman and she
Lowbrow
is
bitch.
lowbrow bitch who is therefore scrappier and has better street smarts. And
Okay.
it's important to the story. And so she goes to step outside after their wedding and she sees someone pulling back the branch and she gets out of the way and she realizes what's happening and she sees that there's this demon lady. And so
This
then
branch is killing all of his wives. He never cuts down the tree.
I don't know, there's lots of branches. There could be a branch anywhere. I don't
Could,
know
I
if
guess
it's
it
just
could be a forest. I don't
It
know.
is actually just the same tree. It is the same tree. That's actually an important part. She lives in the tree. Anyway, the demon lives in the tree. The demon actually is a daughter of Lilith, in case you wanted to know.
Yes.
It's totally fine. And so the scrappy young lass is very scrappy and very smart. And she's like, okay, well, let's just start like trying to appease her. And they give her jam every day. And the demon lady likes that. And so things are okay. And
Yeah.
but then the
Uh-oh.
scrappy young smart lady, she gets knocked up and she's like, shit's gonna be bad because I'm knocked up because she's a daughter of Lilith. Apparently, daughters of Lilith, the demon, love to fuck with children and kill them and stuff. So that's part of the Lilith lore, in case you wanted to know. And so then she's like, okay, and this is a part you guys are gonna like. I'm gonna go negotiate with the demon. This lady, she's so smart, she's so scrappy. The man, he does nothing. He's useless this entire time. No surprise. So she goes to the demon. She's like, look, I'm gonna have a kid. I don't want you to fuck with my kid. Let's make a deal. Every day you can hang out with my husband for 1 day, or for 1 day, for 1 hour, and that's all you get. And the demon's like, fuck, I didn't even expect that. So she's like, hell yeah. She probably could have negotiated for more. She did it. So, and she just said she wouldn't hurt the kids. So every day he had to be her little manslave for a day. And then one day he went to go over there and there was some sort of thing outside the door. I don't know. There's some sort of
Do they still have to give her jam or just 1 hour
nice
of
thing.
servitude?
Just 1 hour of
1 hour of
servitude.
being a big fucking simp, am I right?
Exactly. He did like scrub her toes or something. I don't know why my first thought was scrubbing of the toes, but that's what
Yeah.
it was. And anyway, something happens and she realizes, you know what? I've had enough toe scrubbing. I'm going to release this man to live his life with his scrappy but very resourceful young wife and their child.
Game respects
And
game.
she releases him and she goes back to wherever Lilith demons go. And so that is also, wow, can you see the similarities there? So I think that's very interesting. Why, like, that it's based in Jewish folklore. And then they're also in this video, the guy was talking about like what the moral of the story was supposed to be. And it's supposed to, like, basically what he thinks it is that it's a Jewish story to like reinforce that like your vows for your wedding are not something to be trifled with. They're like not a joke. They're not silly, and the words have meaning. And so it's like like basically saying like don't joke around with that shit. You could get
Don't
married
say
to a
it if
dead
you don't
body.
mean it. Yeah.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
might
and that
get
too.
They're
trapped.
binding words.
And then the other part of it was like reinforcing the importance of a proper burial because like the only reason that like at least in the
'Cause both
first
of them.
story, actually in both of them, the only reason that they're in this situation in the first place is because they received an improper burial and their souls did not like pass over to where they're supposed to be. Well, actually, the Jewish culture, they don't believe in the afterlife, right?
They don't believe in
I don't
heaven
know.
and hell. I don't know the
Yeah.
specifics about the afterlife.
I don't know the specifics about that, to be honest with you. But either way, like there was an improper burial, and so their soul can't be at rest, which leads to these situations. So I thought that was an interesting lens to view this movie through, because I hadn't really thought smart thoughts about this movie at all. I've just thought cry, 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 sad, sad, sad thoughts
Yeah.
about it.
Most of
So,
my smart
anyway.
thoughts are just clear references. And what I was going to say when I thought you were done with your story, but you were only halfway through, is that
Sorry.
first, no, that's okay. I didn't realize the first branch to the face, she's dead. If you ignore that the story keeps going, still though, but that first half and this movie is giving Nosferatu vibes as well. Of like,
Yeah.
oh, the accidental marriage to the already dead lover who's trying to drag you to the grave with them. And your alive lover the love is pure, but like you've tangled with death now, and is there any
Yeah.
escape?
Another parallel I saw with Nosferatu was literally just a costuming thing.
And the
But
coloring.
and well, yeah, and the coloring. The coloring is the exact same, and I have so many thoughts about the coloring. I found another really interesting YouTube video about that, which we can talk about in it later. But the dress that Ellen Hutter is wearing in Nosferatu that she rips off, it's like brown and black stripes, reminded me of
Yeah.
Victoria's outfit in this movie.
Mhm.
And I thought their like look was sort of similar too.
Yeah,
Which,
with the little bud.
yeah, which was interesting. And then of course the Johnny Depp, Lily Rose Depp connection of it all.
Mm-hmm.
True.
It's just right there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
One
think
of
it's so
my
interesting. That's
It
all
is
I
very
had to say.
interesting. On the subject of clear references, some of the other ones I noticed, just to speed run through them, is that Tim Burton did one of his classic Tim Burton things, which is sexy woman's body is falling apart and needs to be reassembled. Because
Yeah.
Emily's arm and leg keep popping off, and in Beetlejuice, Monica Bellucci has to stable herself back together, and in Nightmare Before Christmas, Sally keeps sewing her limbs back together. There's something going on with him over there that he doesn't need to be. He could be psychologically examined for if you wanted to explore that, I guess. But
Yeah.
that's just one of his repetitive themes.
Totally. And he just does the same like look for his protagonist too. The like long limbed. Like this could literally, I mean, we already talked about the like, I mean, there was body diversity in this movie, but I wouldn't say that it
When
was
they
in a
were making
positive
like a
way.
fat joke at Mommy Van Dort's expense, but I was like, her waist is literally snatched to the gods, and
Snatch?
she just has a fat ass. Like, leave her
That's
alone.
not a bad thing. That's a great thing,
Meanwhile,
She
actually.
got a badonk, and we actually
Victoria's
love that.
dad looks like Bob the Tomato from VeggieTales.
Oh my god. I need a visual
They're Bob
reference.
and Larry. Yeah.
Especially with that long
Bob the
cucumber chin.
tomato. Oh, he
Exactly.
looks exactly like Bob the tomato.
Yes.
That's insane. Also, the mom, hold on, I'm gonna look up the name and it's gonna be so great. Everglot Madeline. Wow. I'm glad I looked it up. Madeline Everglot. Her hair looks like balls.
Yes.
Upside down ball sack. That's what it looks like. I couldn't stop thinking about that the entire time.
She's
Look it
giving
up.
Lady Tremaine
And
a little from Cinderella. That was my thought. I didn't go straight to Ballsack, but I guess
I
I'll have
went
to
straight to
review the
ball sack.
tapes.
I watched it twice, so I thought ball sack
Oh, well,
always
that's
had.
how you noticed. Okay, back to your Jewish folklore. I will say one thing that I thought was interesting that I wanted to review in this movie, but I forgot about and I moved on with my life. When he puts the ring on her, it is like tree branch. Like it's not her skeletal hand that she reveals later after she emerges from the earth. It is like tree branch. And so that feels very related to why somebody would jump to demon tree, I think you called it, as opposed to the
Yeah.
finger.
But it was still the hand thing too at the beginning.
Yeah,
So that's is the same
it looked like
between
a
both.
hand. You could tell it was a hand, but it was giving tree branch. But all that also made me think of Lisa Frankenstein, because I was like, what if it is skeletal hand? It's just been there for so long that it's completely
Yeah,
covered in muck, and it's
that's what
only
it was.
She like comes back to life, that she gets like magically clean.
I think that's what it was because I think that it's interesting because like obviously they're in the human world when they first come together, but then
Mm-hmm.
they're immediately transported to the underworld or whatever you want to call it. And so I think that
How did
like
they do that? I also wanted to review that and be like, when did they go in there? But I forgot about that as well.
The
it's like
power
I
of
think
animation.
Yeah.
I it's when she finds him on the bridge and then she just touches him
Oh, and
and
they're like
it
transported.
And they go
transports
back.
Okay.
them. Because I think she kind of, it was one of those things like with her dying wish, as they explain in that
Yeah.
jazzy little number, a little fun song later on, was that like she'd find her true love and they could be
Mm-hmm.
together forever. But like, they can't normally walk the earth. So, like, and she
Yeah.
isn't like walking the earth before. She's literally like just
Until her
a
true love
hand.
comes. It's a little
Yeah.
Snow Whitey. I will
Yeah.
say, I thought for sure for 1 second, not much longer than 1 second, but for 1 second when Mayhew died, I was like, are he and Emily gonna be together? He's come to sweep her off her feet.
Mayhew, really?
I love
Maybe.
Mayhew. We're
Chelsea's
He's
so
a
so
mean to
optimistic.
hardworking
him.
guy. He's reliable. He'll be there for you until his gasping, dying breath. I think she could really
Yeah,
use a man like him. Don't get caught up on a pretty face and a slim torso. Big humpback can also be romantic.
of course. And then
And
he
also,
can
his
breathe
shirt
easy now that
so
he's dead.
orange. Yeah, his shirt is so orange now that he's dead.
Yeah, no, that okay. So the color theory or whatever you want to call it, the coloring and the
Yeah,
symbolism of that in this movie is so cool. I love it. Like when they're in the human world, it's like completely leached of color. There's nothing.
very
But
drab.
then, yeah, the opposite of what one might think in the underworld, everything is bright and vivacious. Everybody's blue. Love that they're blue. That's wonderful. Like there's music, there's dancing, there's laughter, there's joy. Like it's more alive there than it is actually in the living world because it's just such a
They're free of the material
depressing.
constraints of needing to
Yeah.
pay your way to survive.
Yeah, and there's just yeah, like and the I don't know when does this movie take place, but the societal expectations.
Like the
1800s.
1800s. It's like the Victorian
Yeah,
period.
yeah. So there's a lot of pressures keeping up with the Joneses. I mean, the Everglotts are doing this
Oh my
arranged marriage
god, we
just
gotta get back to what we deserve by marrying the nouveau riche.
that shit was so funny. I
Never
love
thought
the
we'd
first
fall
song is
so
just
far.
them being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we have to fraternize with new money fucks."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're
But
land rich, cash poor.
I have to say though that like even though it's like the 1800s, Victorian era, they like nailed the new money like grandiosity
Yeah.
tackiness because did you notice that like they made all their money being fishmongers? Do you notice that like their whole house was fish themed? Like
Yes.
the architecture on the outside, there's like fish, like not stanchions, but like pillars, and like all of the little details are like stone carved fish. I love that. I feel like I wish we could have had a little bit more look around in the worlds that they created, both above and below. Because I
Mhm.
always love um how much detail they put into that. I don't think it's quite as detailed as Nightmare Before Christmas was because they really had like the whole fantasy world to go with, but they still had a lot of really fun things like the fact that what's his name? Mayhew's carriage is the fish carriage that like bring the fish around in, and then it also doubles as the carriage that they go around town in. I think there's a lot of fun details there. I love that people were shaped like what they did. Like the
Right.
town crier is shaped like a bell. I thought that that was fun. Um,
I love the town crier. He was really giving New York Post style headlines. You
yeah,
know how they
he
are
really
always doing
was.
those crazy puns? He
That man
was like
always
that.
had the cheese may.
He really.
I would have been a great town
Ear to the ground.
crier at some point back
And
in
you
the
still
day.
can be.
Oh yeah.
Unpaid, but I think you'd
I
slay
know.
it.
I think you would
Sometimes
be
you
a
have to have a
really, really
passion
good town
project.
crier. You could just go on the corner at any time, even now, and you could start
Even right
reading the
now.
headlines.
Did you
girl.
know?
Right now, you could turn around, walk out that door, not finish this episode, just start shouting.
Monica's being mean to me this episode.
That was one time, and that was like 40 minutes ago. So
We've actually moved
you have
on,
to
so I don't
let
really know
that
why you're
go.
still on
I
that.
never move on from anything. Thank you very much.
I didn't mean dumb derogatory. I
Don't
call
go
our
back in the
podcast
hole,
dumb
Monica!
sometimes. I mean that as a nice thing. Anyway, now I'm going to talk about something smart that also I didn't have any smart thoughts this movie. I had no smart thoughts, but people on YouTube had smart thoughts, and I thought that they were very, very cool. So I watched this really fun video called from this YouTuber called A Bit Frank, and this is super cute the way they put this video together too. So I just want to give them their shouts here. So they had a whole episode about like the color theory in this movie, but also another part of it that they brought up was like the symbolism of the butterfly in this movie, which was a shock to me because this whole time I thought that was a moth. And I really liked it because I thought it was a moth. Because I really like moths. As you can see, there's a moth right there on my wall. And so that was a little bit disappointing. My little note that my first note that I wrote was, wow, I love Victor. He's just sitting home alone drawing moths and hanging out with moths. I love that about him. Anyone who's a butterfly, still cool. Butterflies are cool, whatever. And butterflies had a lot of symbolism in a lot of different cultures. Specifically in this video, they talk about Celtic culture and Mexican culture as being like a kind, it can be like a spirit guide between realms, or like the veil, like the veil between life and death.
They touch on
just
that in Heretic, if you'll recall. With the butterfly.
I blocked that movie out of my head. I was like, don't make me think about it. I deleted it.
Well,
I
for
haven't
anybody
seen it
else who
yet.
wanted to hear me make that connection, it's out there now. And Monica, we can
I'm
just
sure
move
that that's
forward.
true. I'm sure that's true. I've deleted. Oh yeah, I remember now. Ah, now I'm mad because I remember. I remember that part. Anyway, we didn't do an episode on Heretic for a reason because it'd just be me screaming.
I haven't even seen it yet, so
I
liked
hope
it
that
better
you
than
like
Monica
it when
did.
you see it. Yeah. I hated it a lot. Anyway, but something that was super interesting is like in the beginning, the very, very opening scene of this movie, they kind of show the entire plot of the movie in not so many words, not exactly. But it shows Victor, and he's home in his room, and he's drawing this beautiful butterfly that he has under little glass dome, and he's taking his time with it. He's drawing it. He's like seeing how beautiful and wonderful it is. But then once he's done with his drawing, he lets it go and he lets it fly and go on its way. And it sort of parallels like later on in the movie what Emily does for him, when she like he has agreed to be her husband and to drink the wine that kills you. It has a cool name, I can't remember.
Time or something like that.
The wine of time. And like live the rest of his life being dead, actually. So actually not live the rest of his life, to die to be with her forever. But instead of going through with it, she like lets him go. So she like, just like how he was with the butterfly, and she is the butterfly. Like she has the butterflies around her all the time. She disappears into butterflies later on in the movie, but she like has him for a time. She sees how wonderful he is. She studies him, appreciates him, loves him. But then she knows that she has to let him go because he needs to be free, and they live in different worlds. And so yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I wouldn't have realized that because every time I watch a movie, the first minute my brain is loading, so I usually don't notice all the symbolism in the opening. But I thought that was really cool. In the
Butterflies are
children's
also
movie, they did
like
big smart thing.
transformation, chrysalis
Yeah.
cocoon, whatever. You know what I mean? She had her first life as a living person. She went into her cocoon in the grave. She reemerged as a
Yeah,
beautiful dead butterfly later on.
exactly. Yeah, no,
I don't
totally. I love
remember.
that imagery.
I don't remember for sure if there are butterflies in Coco. Have you guys, either of you seen Coco, the Pixar
Yes.
movie?
Oh my God,
Coco
Coco
makes me
makes
My
me
God,
cry.
sob
yeah, I
hysterically.
wept. So that's the part in this movie that I cried in is when everybody's getting reunited with their dead loved ones, and I was
Yes.
like,
Oh,
Grandpa?
I love that
yeah,
part.
I know. That's when I thought about Coco too, and I do think I don't know if it's a butterfly, but something like they have the marigold flowers for sure, so maybe it's just like
Mhm.
marigold petals that are like glowing in the
Well,
wind or whatever. But that was obviously there's a
according
lot
to
of
the
that movie
video,
in this movie.
butterflies are a big part of Dia de los Muertos, so I would assume
Oh,
that
well,
there
there you
were
go.
butterflies. Yeah.
Yeah, you said
Um.
Mexican culture, so that makes sense.
Yeah. For it specifically mentioned Dia de los Muertos in that video, so I think that was very interesting. It's very interesting that has that much symbolism right off the bat. Um. But also, just like before we talk more about Emily, I do think the love between Victor and Victoria is really, really sweet. It's cool that, like, even when they're in this situation where they're surrounded by, like, fucking horrible parents, both on both sides, they're just like, they don't understand their freak children. In Victor's case, he is a little weird nerd boy, and I love that about him. And he's a beautiful pianist.
He's not into
And
fish.
He's
What a
really
fucking
sensitive.
loser.
he's just a sensitive boy with a stutter, okay? He's just a little anemic boy who needs a little time in the sun. Um, and
He's a
then
musician.
meanwhile, yeah. Meanwhile, Victoria's parents are so funny. They're so funny the way that they think of love and how, like, maybe it doesn't exist to them. They're like, a marriage is a transaction, and that's why we're setting up a transaction here, because that's what it is. And I don't
And
understand why you didn't
historically speaking,
realize that.
they're right.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not until like recent that you
Love
married for
marriage,
love.
a relatively recent invention, yeah.
Yeah.
totally.
Not that it never
For
existed before, but usually you just grew to love your spouse that you're already married to.
yeah,
But
you figure it out. You find
You
things or
deal
make
with
them up.
it.
you're committed and you either die in despair and poverty or you make it work.
You have girlfriends that you're probably really too close with.
Oh, your
you know?
lady's maid that
There's no
sleeps
such
in
Yeah.
thing
bed
as
with
too
you.
close.
Uh-huh.
Something that I think is interesting about Tim Burton is the way that he really is so regularly digesting and cannibalizing his own material, but it does
Yeah,
manage to like come across relatively fresh most of the time. Like there are so many, I mean, obviously, you the Victor and Emily is kind of giving like Beetlejuice and Winona's character and that like oh you have to marry the person that's a little more schemy obviously Beetlejuice you know we know him he's an evil guy Emily just a pure-hearted soul who just wants what she thinks was promised to her but then like individual imagery and motifs too like the shadow exposition in the bride song with her telling the story of her death was also like in Beetlejuice too when they get the shadow exposition of Beetlejuice's death or Monica Bellucci's death I guess when he like chops her up too there was one other thing that I was thinking of but I don't remember it but there's so many things like that where he just like pulls and like shuffles it a little and gives it to you again.
yeah, like, I don't know. We already talked about the bodies falling apart, but Emily's like leg falling off in that one scene, and then Sally like unsewing her leg all the time. It's the same, like, same exact shit. And then the dog, Zero the dog, and then Sparky
Yeah.
in this one, which I thought was so
Scraps.
cute that it was
Scraps.
Scraps, Sparky. I was just saying any old dog name.
Just taking a shot in the dark. It could be right.
I thought
They
it
both
could have
started
been. I
with
thought
an
it could have
S.
been Sparky. But yeah, no, like it's the exact same thing. But he's like, hey, it's been a decade. It's been 12 years actually. Got a new generation of children here. They might not have seen Nightmare Before
Maybe they
Christmas.
skipped that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the other things that I was saying that I remember now why I didn't say it in that moment is because again it's Lisa Frankenstein and not another Tim Burton property was the beginning of Lisa Frankenstein where you see the like I don't remember if it's animation or like a paper play or whatever it was, but when you get like
Oh
the
yeah,
creature's backstory of him going after this woman and then being spurned and then dying a bachelor, that also felt very reminiscent of this movie and the Bride's song as well.
totally. I love the Bride song. That melody gets stuck in my head. I can never remember the words, but the melody is really haunting.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's so
love all the
beautiful.
little like the bone band and like the little worm
The head
and
waiter.
I
yeah,
love the head
When one
waiter.
guy drinks and the other guy pulls the sword out of him and then fills his
and
cup
the
and then he drinks.
like
Napoleon.
the little spiders who have like sassy
Mm-hmm.
things to say. The
They
dead
sew up his
people
clothes.
of this movie, the little like children in their like little wigs, which those I don't know. There's like there's like really famous paintings that I think they're
Oh, is it Pinky and Blue Boy?
yes,
Are they
like
Pinky
that's
and Blue Boy?
like
Oh
I
my
think that's who they're at least
god.
supposed to be based off of.
The dead little boy who's in. Oh, okay. His outfit's a little bit different because he kind of looks like a sailor. But you mean the
But
little
like
sailor boy? He is blue and the girl's pink, which is
they're really
classic
close.
for girls and boys. I see it. Ugh, I don't remember what the little girl from this one looks like, but I believe
She's
it. I
got
totally
like
believe
blonde
that.
pigtails, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Because I was
Yeah,
like looking for people to dress up as I was watching, and my best guess at one moment was honestly Mayhew, but then I was like, I don't have anything orange enough. But the sideburns I wanted for a moment. That's Lisa
you look
Frankenstein too.
gorgeous with sideburns.
And I did on that episode. They're all pulling from this like same time period and culture for elements of their stories, which makes sense because the arranged marriage is such like a trope of that time period, but it's
Yeah,
also
it does make
lots of time periods, I guess, though.
Yeah, I love all of the dead people, and it reminds me of Beetlejuice as well when you can like guess their deaths and stuff based on
In the
what they
waiting
look like.
room and like
Yeah,
in Beetlejuice when they have the soul train.
I love the chefs in this one too. I just love
Mhm.
all the imagery when they like decide to get married too and they make that gorgeous bone cake. I also really enjoyed oh my god, Christopher Lee was the pastor in this movie.
That tracks.
That's so funny. Wow, that's so great. Okay. What else am I looking for here? Oh, Elder. Oh my God, that was Michael Go. Elder Gutnicht. I don't know how you say his name,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Elder Skeleton Man. That was Michael Go. And if you go to his page, you will know exactly who it is. You'll recognize his face. Oh my God. Yeah, he was Alfred Pennyworth in all of the 90s Batman movies, all the 80s to 90s Batman movies that Tim Burton did. So that
Nice.
makes a lot of sense too. But anyway, I love his oh, this is his second to last role too that he ever had. Interesting. But I just love his whole character. I love that he still had the little fucking Fu Manchu thing going on. I loved all the ravens as well, and like how the ravens kind of like transported them between the
Realms.
the realms. through the
when the
veil,
like
as they
cool
say.
fog comes down and engulfs them and they disappear. I liked that. I also loved the bit before, the little bit that they did when he like makes his potion and then it's like just his little cocktail, just a little drinky drink.
Yeah, that was
I
so funny.
love that they have to say hopscotch to get back to the land of the
Incredible
dead.
safe word. Incredible safe word to choose.
That should that be our new safe word? Hopscotch.
I don't know. I feel like
That
ours
works
is
for
pretty
me.
classic, but
I'm
I
gonna
think
start
it
saying
could be.
hopscotch when I'm
And I'll know
over
what you
Monica
mean.
being
Yeah.
mean to me.
Should we all pick our own? Oh, that one's for Monica
Hopscotch.
Mean specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. That means you have to start being nice again, Monica.
Yeah.
That means you have to knock it
I'm
off.
not going to. I'm not
She said
going to.
hopscotch,
I make
and if you can't respect that, then we're gonna, I don't know, we're gonna have to revisit our bylaws or something.
I one time say something is dumb lovingly, and I'm being mean.
And
What
she's
about all the
over.
other times?
I guess you should come up with a
Anyway.
safe word for when you're getting bullied. It's too bad you don't have one.
Yeah. Not me.
What do you think the like Ukrainian whatever thing meant? I was like, is this like a joke that's going over my head?
Oh.
I was like, is this political? I don't know. I don't know. And so I won't say. But I was like, I feel like this is.
But I'm entering it into the conversation just in case
I was
somebody
just
wants
saying.
to
I was like,
weigh in.
are they trying to do something here? It's not for me to know. I did
You don't
like
know what
some of the.
Ukrainian geopolitics were like in 2005.
No, me neither.
That's not my
Unfortunately,
era for being
like I
politically
said,
savvy.
I was just a
Sixth
little
grade.
young baby who never had said a curse word before. So
Nerd.
but what was I gonna say about that? Oh, speaking of adult jokes in this, I hadn't caught the like boob joke that Victor makes when he's practicing his vows. When he's trying to remember his vows and he's walking through the forest, he's like, with this hand, I'll take your wine. And then he's like, no, no, that's not it. And he was like, with these hands, and then he has his hands like right where a lady's boobs would be. With
Naughty
these hands,
boy.
I'll cup your, oh, no, not that.
That's funny.
Love.
Speaking of
Love
boobs,
that.
I did love in the beginning when the parents are singing their song, the Van Dorts, and she's just chesting boobily the whole time. Like that was great bounce, especially for an animated
Big bounce.
character.
Oh, here's something. Here's another thing I learned about. I did one research.
Is it bosom
Okay,
related?
this is what it is. It's not bosom related, but I don't know why that reminded me.
Boo.
Boo!
Tomato,
It's
tomato,
interesting,
tomato.
though. I mean, it could be how the bosom's bosomed like that, okay? So that's why
Okay,
it came
all
to my
right.
mind.
Let's hear it.
So you know how when we talked about I think it was Paranorman and how they did the claymation, there was like 4,000 billion million
Yeah, way
faces
more
that
than
they
normal.
switched out. Yeah. So for this movie, they used new technology and it's actually like very horrifying to think about, where there's like the head had little electronics in it, and it would move underneath like the skin of the face to like change the expressions and move the mouth because they thought that that would be better. But then they found out that no, that's actually way worse because they'd break all the time. They'd have to like manually like turn screws to move the inner workings of the face
This
to
is
make
another
the different
callback to Shape of
expressions
Water.
instead of just fucking switching out the face to a different face. That would have been way easier. So it was this like extra high tech way of doing things, like cutting edge, breaking barriers, but it's worse. It was actually
Sometimes you try
it was
to
actually worse.
innovate, and there is a reason why people were doing it the way they were doing it beforehand.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Um
But you gotta try it out to know, you know? Now they know that is a
you
dumb
do.
idea that doesn't work.
It's really horrifying to think about too, because they're like showing how it worked, and her face was like Emily's face was moving, and I was like, I don't need to see that. I'm gonna have a
Yeah.
nightmare about that. So no, thank you. Do you think that they based Barkus Bittern's face off of Jay Leno? They
You know
saw
what?
an old episode of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and they're like, that would be a great face. of a murderer, of a serial killer.
That guy looks suspicious.
I love Jay Leno, but that man looks exactly like Jay Leno. It was hard to shake. Do you
I see
not
what
see
you're
it?
seeing. No, I do see what you're seeing.
It's I'm thinking about Jay Leno because as a woman with a strong chin, I respect people who have similar things going on. And he has the chin of all chins. Also, I just see him around LA a lot because he's always driving in his
He do
fancy
be in
car.
Burbank
And so
quite a lot.
you can't miss him when you see him too, because he's driving like the coolest car you've ever seen. So you're looking at the car like, oh my god, what a cool car! And then you're like, oh, and there's
Oh,
Jay
it's Jay
Leno,
Leno.
the villain from Corpse Bride.
Yep.
I think that all the time. But I do think that Barkis's character is so fucking like terrifyingly sinister. It's just crazy how well he like plays everything out until he doesn't, obviously, and he fucks it royal and he literally kills himself.
Dumb
Because
bitch.
he's a dumb, pompous asshole motherfucker. But yeah, I mean that part I think is so interesting because that part's really scary, and this is a children's movie. The fact that like he dies and then all the dead people are like, I'm gonna fuck
I'm
this
gonna
bitch
get
up
you.
hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wreck
Yeah.
his shit.
Yeah.
Deserved. I hate him. He's
And
a
I
bad
was
guy.
wondering how they were gonna dispatch him. Like I said, I actually don't think I had seen this movie before, but I did guess, if I haven't seen this movie before, a little while before the reveal where I was like, so Barkis death killed Emily, right? Um so I knew he was gonna get what was coming to him. I wasn't sure if he was gonna have to somehow be stuck married to Emily forever, which would have made me really sad. So I'm glad they didn't do that.
Oh my god, that would have been
Um
terrible. That would not have been a happy ending. That would
yeah,
have been
I
like
was well.
torturous.
That's what I'm saying. I was like looking for Emily to find her love, and I was like, who were her options? Barkis and Mayhew. But she just said, actually, I don't need a man, and I'm ready to
I'm happy
metastasize
as
into my
is.
next Pokemon evolution on my own.
Also,
Well,
too, in her bride like song, in the shadow, you kind of like see the
I was
outline of
wondering if
Barkis,
you went
and so it's
back.
like some
because
foreshadowing
he's got
there
such
as
a
well.
distinctive
It's very
chin
Jay
Silhouette.
and the
Leno, you
hair, the
know.
flippy hair. It's very Jay Leno. You're just like, oh my god, was her ex Jay Leno?
Leno,
No,
it's giving Jay.
it was
I thought
Barkis
Jay Leno,
Fisher.
and then this man showed up.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess it's a claymation movie. Jay Leno can't be here. He's a real
yeah.
guy. Uh,
I mean,
but
his
I
death
just
is what
think,
frees Emily, but I foresaw, sorry, freed Victoria. Um, with Emily and Victor's marriage, I knew that till death do we part was going to be relevant, even though that wasn't in his vows that he said when he put the ring on her finger. So in
mm-hmm,
theory, loophole. But I was also like, till death do us part. If she's already dead when they get married, then technically the only death that would part them is his death. So it almost feels like that would be like the breakup point, as opposed to the joining point. But they went a different way with it, and I thought their logic. They sold me on their logic. It made sense.
yeah, I can see it both ways. They, I think, have to be living in the same mortal plane, to be
Yeah, although
married.
he seemed to be doing
Unfortunately,
just fine in the underworld pre-death, you know what I mean? Like it's not like he was falling. There was no ill effects for him down there, it seemed. Other than his marriage
that's
was
true.
illegitimate, I guess, but that actually would have been a perk for him if he'd known.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just think that the end of this movie is so beautiful, and just the whole development of Emily's character throughout this is so interesting. It didn't have to go that hard,
Mm-hmm.
but just her realization that like if she when she like sees Victoria like watching their marriage go down and like the heartbreak in her eyes, and she like realizing like she is doing to Victoria like what was done to her in a way, like
She's doing to
taking away
Victor
her
what was done
love.
to her, also.
Well, yeah, it's like both. And I think she can also like see herself in Victoria and see the like young blushing bride filled with hope and like the
Idealism.
crushing feeling that she felt when like she realized it was all a lie, and then watching Victoria like realize that her dream of a true love is slipping through her fingers as well. I think that was really, really beautiful. And also very nice of her to realize that like killing someone to be with them is not necessarily the vibe or the move.
I hear you, girl, and I know it seems like no big deal to you because you've been dead for a little while already, and that's your natural state at this point. But it is kind of a big deal to many people in many cultures.
Yeah,
Big,
no.
big change in their life and the lives of the people around them.
Yeah.
That said, I thought that they did a really good job in this movie that is missing in movies a lot when there's like so much happening. They did such a really good job in this movie of like creating these very sweet, beautiful, quiet little scenes for the love stories to blossom with both Victor and Victoria, and then later Victor and Emily. And I thought it was, again, Lisa Frankenstein, nice that both of them took place at the piano, and was like this musical
Yeah.
connection. And for Victoria, it was about like getting to experience this thing that she was never allowed to have on her own. And it's this moment of like freedom and exploration and connection. And then with Victor and Emily, it's like this thing that they share that they can use as like language to communicate with each other and like be teammates and collaborate with each other. I just thought they did a really great job of really making you see why both romances were worth rooting for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I do think that Victor really did care for Emily, you know, even though his heart was with Victoria, he like, you know, respects the laws of marriage and blah blah blah. And when it was clear that she was taken and there's nothing he could do about it, he was like, well, you know, I put myself in this situation with Emily, and she is a wonderful woman, though she is dead and her hand falls off sometimes, and but we do have many things in common, despite the many things we do not have in common. And so
She
uh
deserves love, and if I can't have my love with Victoria, I think it could grow with Emily.
yeah. Mm. Also, just a little shout out to a scene that I love so much. I mentioned it for a second, but the moonlight scene, like when
Yeah.
Emily gets back to the mortal coil for the first time in a long time, because obviously she's focusing on other things when she was first awakened from her eternal slumber,
Slumber.
or whatever the fuck. Yeah, when she's like, "Wow, it's been so long that I've been under the
In
ground
the
in the
darkness.
underworld that in the darkness that I forgot how beautiful the moonlight is." And she just does that like beautiful little like dance in the moonlight, and it's so sweet and so
Mm-hmm.
whimsical, and then she falls and rips her leg off, and I found that really relatable because a lot of times when I try
Just
to
a
be
quirky
beautiful
girl.
and whimsical, I too fall down, and so
She can't help
that's
it.
my girl right there. There was a branch in the way, and her leg is barely holding on anyway, so you know, what's a
Yeah.
girl to do? What's a dead girl to do?
I also liked the little joke that the maggot made about him having cold feet when you see like his footprints running away in the snow.
Yeah. Ugh, I love the maggot. He is such a good voice. I don't know how to say his name. N. Rytel. Rytel? That's the name of that voice actor. And I just like I'm obsessed with his voice acting in this. Like I could like bite into that voice. It's just so it reminds me of Bartok from Anastasia a little bit. Different, very different, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
like
Vibes wise.
he went full in. He went full in. And I just love the whole concept of her having like this little worm in her head who's like her bestie and also like fucking around with her, and it's like literally the voice inside her head, but it's a separate person. It's just
Hello,
so
this is
funny.
your conscious speaking.
And also like when the reunion between the dead and the living happens later on in the film, and he like pops onto that guy's shoulder, and he was like, "Hey, this might be hard to hear, but I lived in your mother's corpse."
Mm-hmm.
So fucking funny. So fucking funny. They do so many fun, amazing world building things in this movie. Like, it's just so nuanced. There's so many tiny little details. There's so many references that probably, if I was an adult in 2005, I would have been like, ha ha. But in this case, as someone who was in sixth grade in 2005, got the like two of those adult jokes, but
Mhm.
they're still really fucking funny. So it's great. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is like a good movie to show younger kids too, because like it kind of like introduces the concept of death. They still make it fun, and then it shows like kind of a sad and like a sad ending. I literally cry like a baby every time I sobbed hardcore. Um, but it shows like you sometimes don't get the outcome that you want, but you can still find peace. And that's something that is a hard pill to swallow, coming from like the joy and perfection of childhood, or like the innocence, sorry, not perfection, innocence of childhood. So I think it like lays the good some good groundwork, because I love when like a children's movie has like a good lesson or whatever. So I think this one does have that.
I also
Even though
think
when I
with
saw it as a
Emily,
kid, I just was screaming and angry, and I was like, "Why the fuck wouldn't they make it happy?" Anyway, you were saying something.
I think with Emily, there's the lesson there too of like sometimes you get so caught up in something that you're excited about and that you want and that you think that you're getting that you don't realize you are being unfair to the people around you. Um, and you have to be mindful of that, but also people just make mistakes sometimes. And like
Yeah,
sometimes you're just so excited to be living your life that you forget that everyone around you has their own interiority as well. Um, and it doesn't make you a bad person to make a mistake. You just need to realize and recognize and then learn from your mistakes.
yeah, you can always do something to make it better, or you can at least try. So it's got a beautiful message, and the message is I cry all the time.
That said, there was a moment in the movie where I was like, Victor is being very clever with his let's go meet mom and dad scheme, but I was getting mad at him for being a conniving man. And then I had to be like, if Winona's character was escaping Beetlejuice by such means, I would not be mad at her. So I can't be mad at him just because he's a man. I have to give him
I
grace
know.
because he's literally being like kidnapped and held against his will, and he's doing the best he can with a very tricky situation.
Literally being like separated from other living beings and
Oh, this
dragged
man is
to hell.
manipulating her and leaving her in the woods alone, just like when she got murdered. Not very
Yeah.
nice. And then I was like, well, he does
Well,
not
not
want to
very.
die, and
That
that's what
was
he's
not
trying
very
to
nice.
avoid. So again, it is tricky.
Yeah. I was like also being mean at the beginning, and I was like, he's just another tall, skinny
Skinny
white
white boy.
boy, and
Exactly.
everybody's obsessed with him, but what is he bringing to the table? And then I was like, actually,
Actually, he's
he's really
sweet.
good at the piano, and
He's
he's
very
great at drawing butterflies, so that's
and
actually a
he's
lot of
really
things.
sensitive.
Yeah.
And he's sensitive. And he doesn't like public speaking.
And or fish.
Well, that's
Yeah,
his one flaw.
which is those are hard for me to relate to, but you know,
Yeah,
it's okay.
how could we get sushi? How could we go on sushi dates if he doesn't like fish?
Well, you'd have
But
access to a
his
lot of
family would
fresh
be able to
fish.
provide you with so much sushi as fish merchants. So he could just
That's
serve you
something
sushi for 1 hour a day every single day, like the Demon Tree story.
I love that actually.
you could
That's a
just eat it
modern
too.
retelling.
Beautiful. Well, are we ready for our segment?
Segmentos.
And look,
Okay, we're
look,
doing it.
short episode so far. Not to curse things, we could be talking about gay stuff for 45 more minutes, but
Okay, here's the thing.
Well, how could this movie be gay?
This everybody should be a chaos bisexual.
Mm.
Think about it. Instead of Victor doing it, it's Victoria, and then Victoria and Emily are together, but she's like, no, I want to marry Victor, and then Victor married Barkus, but Barkus was married to Emily, but then Emily was like, well, I guess I gotta go revenge.
My husband's ex-wife is my new husband's ex-wife as well.
Chaos bisexuals. When you get a group of chaos bisexuals
Would-
together,
What are those songs?
I-
Those lyrics from The Killers? You had a boyfriend that looks like a girlfriend that I had last
Yeah.
February of last year, something like that.
February of last year. His name was
Marcus
Marcus Bittern and something.
Rushing and
That's
rushing
right.
around.
And he also looked like Jay Leno.
See?
Cried.
Like the
The
word
maggot
also.
also-
Mayhew
Genderqueer.
gay.
Yes.
Well, that's why
Who?
he couldn't be with Emily.
Mayhew and I think the town crier were in a relationship with each other.
Oh my god. And the only reason it didn't make it into the movie is because they're keeping it private, but the town crier is going to report on everything else.
Exactly.
He said,
Ooh,
if there's something you don't
Everglots.
know about, it's because
Ooh,
I
sorry.
don't want you to know it.
Everglots, lavender marriage.
Yeah, no, I have
Oh yeah,
that
for
as well.
sure.
100%.
I do think the Van
no
Dorts
question.
seem to genuinely like each other.
Yeah, even though Papa Van Dort is so fucking rude.
Yes.
So important to insult everything that you see.
Yeah. But what we were
Except for
saying
your
about
wife.
the maggot is that the maggot is genderqueer.
Oh, okay. My headphones are doing an echo for everything, so I
Mm.
have very little understanding of what's going on in the episode right now. So thank you.
You're welcome. That felt really important to just get in the record. So
No, I think it is really important, and I actually really deeply agree. And I wish that there had been a more robust romance for the maggot.
I
His name
think
was something. He
Maggot-
had a name.
And head on platter guy yearn for each
Oh,
other, but
the
they're
head
not in a
waiter.
relationship, but they yearn
that's
for
crazy.
each other, you know?
He lives in Heads. That Head's right there. It's got an opening right at the base. He could crawl on in.
I think that the maggot is in a relationship with one of the many cockroaches that holds up the waiter's head.
I love
But
that.
they're not ready to talk about that yet. It was 2005. It's
Yeah.
too early. It's too bad.
You don't think that he's 2-timing and 3-timing and 4-timing and 5-timing all of those Black Widow spiders?
I hope not. They wouldn't stand
One of
for
them
that.
swooped. Maybe they're Polly. One of them swooped down and saved him when he was
Yeah.
almost getting squished underfoot.
Wow. Okay, I do love like a polycule of all the Black Widows and the maggot.
Mm-hmm. And they just like pass him around.
It works well. I love it. Any other
Um,
gay thoughts?
So many more gay thoughts. Just none from Chelsea.
I keep mine close to the chest.
Okay, Matthew Lillard. Where would he fit into this glorious, glorious film? He could be a great Victor, honestly.
He would be a great
Just
Victor.
Yeah.
cut fucking Johnny Depp right out of that shit. Even though he looks exactly like Johnny Depp, Victor does, so it's a little hard.
Yeah, but he also looks exactly like any other Tim Burton designed male character. So it's like I know
Well,
that's
that's
maybe
because
just
he
because
based
Tim
all
Burton
of
is
them
so
off of
horny.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
Johnny Depp. But at that point it goes beyond Johnny Depp. You know what I mean? So it's like now that's the any man look. So
True. That's true.
He'd also make a great worm voice.
yeah.
Yeah.
He would slay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be a
I would love
great
to see him as
maggot.
that
I
little
would
lipstick
love
wearing
that
little,
for him.
Right?
Mhm. I think
The
you should have to
Maggie
put
say
the
maggot.
lipstick on when he's doing the voice acting as well, just to get in character.
I agree. That's the only way to really get into character.
I think he would
You
want
have
to do
really
that, quite
live
frankly.
that
How
part
could
of
he
it.
deliver an authentic performance if he's not doing a full beat?
I couldn't agree more. Okay, that feels good for me for Matthew Lillard. So that brings us to the dumb bitch.
Who could it be? I don't know. Oh my god, I don't know who it could
I
be.
don't know. It's so hard. It's literally so hard with this movie because there's no obvious choice, of course.
There's
Not
no
even at
obvious choice.
all.
Everybody's a good person. There's no villains. No one is out here doing serial murder without even researching their would-be
Yeah.
victims.
So yeah, no, I'm this. There's not. Maybe there is no dumb bitch. This. No, it's fucking Barkus.
He
I
got
can't even do the bit.
cocky.
It's Jay Leno.
Hello,
He got so
Barkus.
cocky. He's the cockiest man alive. Well, now he's not.
Now he's the cockiest dead man.
Got him.
Got him. Yeah. I mean, literally, in over. What's the britches saying? Do you know what I'm talking about? Not in over
Big
his
for your
britches,
britches.
but to. Oh, maybe that's not what I mean. But that's the saying I was thinking of. But it's not. It doesn't have the meaning that I was trying to communicate. Whatever. He is just being such a dumb bitch. He got away with murder at least one time with a beautiful young rich bride and just leaving her in the woods. And it's like now he's doing a very public wedding. First of all, the town crier is literally reporting on this, so there's going to be a true crime podcast starting soon if he goes through with killing Victoria. So he's not really, unless he's gonna. I guess he would just leave town again, probably. So maybe he's on like a 30-year cycle or something, and he's just looped back just now. Because presumably Emily was a local originally as well, because this is where she's buried in the woods.
Yeah.
But the way he sees Big House and just waltzes in and is like, I can pull this off, and just absolutely no research whatsoever, big stupid bitch move. And then he thinks he's better than everyone and is like, I'm just gonna drink this wine from what was clearly some sort of weird death ritual. That is dumb as well.
Just because your chin is really big doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Which
Yeah,
I learned
Monica.
earlier this episode when I called Sydney's thing she said dumb.
And then she got a beat down for it.
So we all learned a lesson today, okay?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Marcus
I feel
is
like
a dumb
that
bitch, though.
you said a bitch. Okay, that brings us to knives out of fives. I'm curious to see where the numbers are at and awards and all that jazz for this movie.
Well, on IMDb, this movie has a 7.4 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 84% fresh from critics and 77% fresh from audiences. And it was nominated for an Oscar at the 2006 ceremony for Best Animated Feature Film of the Year. It did not win, but it was nominated. It was also nominated at the 2006 Kids' Choice Awards
Hell
for Favorite
yeah.
Voice from an Animated Feature for Johnny Depp. So, and like we said, that
Okay.
was his heyday. So, you know. There's a lot of other stuff on there as well, but those were the highlights for me.
Those feel like highlights for me too.
The Kids' Choice
Let's
Awards and the
see.
Oscars. And then if you want to know anything beyond that, that's on you to do your research.
I'll go first. I think I'm gonna give this one a really high score, but not a perfect score because there's something holding me back. Maybe it's my immediate thought as a sixth grader when I saw this, which was, how dare they make this so sad? Why would it be this short? I remember when it ended because it's such a short movie and I had no idea. I remember seeing this in the theaters and it ended and I was like, what? I was like, it's over now? What do you
It is
mean
crazy
it's
short.
over?
Yeah.
It's such a I mean, but that ending is so beautiful. Her disappearing into butterflies. Now that I am an adult woman, I can see and understand what was happening. But as a child, I was like, what do you mean that she doesn't find her true love and she just dies? I was afraid of dying then too. So it was very scary to me. I was like, the ending is that she disappears and she's dead now forever. Hate that. Anyway, so I'm giving it a 4.8. I'm docking 0.2 because it made me had an existential crisis. But it's good to cry and it's good to confront your mortality, listeners. So you're welcome.
I'll go. Just like The Shape of Water, this movie has the same romance, the same maybe regular person, and other
Other?
supernatural weird thing?
Question
Question
mark?
mark. So this movie's ending is actually way sadder than Shape of Water.
No, Shape
Um,
of Water is a happy ending.
that's what I'm saying. But I like this movie just as much as Shape of Water, so I'm gonna do a 4.5.
Hell yeah.
This
It-
is so
I
interesting.
do wish it was longer.
Yeah.
Rare comment from Sydney about a film.
It's an hour and 17 minutes. She likes a tight 90.
I
She
will
said
like
that.
a tight 90.
She wants those
We
extra
needed-
13 minutes.
Yeah. I want 2 more songs.
You know what? That's a very fair critique.
I agree. I want 2 more songs.
I will say it's interesting because I scrolled back to see what you guys gave Nightmare Before Christmas just as a comparison because again, this movie got put on our schedule as part of a handshake deal to do Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride if we did Double Toil and Trouble for Halloween. And obviously I was really eating my words a little bit when I had to do Nightmare Before Christmas and was regretting that deal. But now that we've done Corpse Bride, I really enjoyed Corpse Bride, and I'm like, this should be the Tim Burton movie that everybody is talking about. But Monica, you gave
Agreed.
the same score, 4.8, and Sydney, I think you like Nightmare Before Christmas a little bit better because that one you gave a 5.
Nightmare Before Christmas has been one of my favorite movies since childhood, so it has
Sure.
like a deeper connection
Yeah.
to it.
That's interesting. I think that I feel more with this. I feel more emotional with this movie.
I think
But
the
that
relationships
one is
are a lot
more
more developed here.
nostalgic. Yeah, that one was just more nostalgic, and it was, like we said, such an interesting watch as an adult because it has themes that you wouldn't really pick up as a kid. As a kid, you're like Santa Claus and there's a skeleton. Wow,
That one was more like Jack's journey and his own self-discovery, and this one is
Yeah.
like a kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
But that movie, obviously, famously, it's not my favorite. This movie I thought was very fun. I loved the colorful underworld. The music was great. Like I said, I thought they did a really good job of selling the audience on the connection between both couples that they present in the film, where like you really are understanding of, and like you'd be sad for Victoria if Victor married Emily, but you're sad for Emily if Victor marries Victoria, and you can see why he would want to marry
Really love
either at that
triangle.
point. I thought they did a really good job setting up those relationships and those dynamics, and especially with the short runtime, you know what I mean? Like they're doing a lot with a 2-minute scene that a lot of other movies are not at all taking the time to do. So I found a lot of charm in this movie, and I don't know why I didn't watch it sooner if I truly didn't watch it sooner. Other than
I think
obviously
you would
I'm
remember
a
it.
hater. But I thought
Yeah,
it was
I think that's why you didn't watch it because you fucking hated The Nightmare Before Christmas.
well. But I didn't watch Nightmare Before Christmas until college. So, I mean, it makes sense why I would not have watched Corpse Bride
Oh.
after that. But I don't know why it
Maybe
was
because you didn't
never
watch it as a
on the
kid, you weren't like,
sketch.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
about
I feel
going
like
to
I
see it.
would have. The maggot bothered me a lot less than I thought that it would. But that's the kind of thing also as a child that I would have been like, ugh, I don't like that talking little creature. Not my
Wow, you
humor.
had no whimsy.
Yeah. This is not the kind of humor that I enjoy. But it was better than I expected.
Precocious in 6th grade.
Some of it from the trailer, I was like, ugh, and then other bits of it, I was like, okay, they're doing something fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie like a 4.2, I think, which
Great.
is, kind of a very rich endorsement considering, again, all of my enemies that participated in this film.
All of Chelsea's ops.
Which we discussed.
I know,
in
they really put
detail
a lot
in
of
The Nightmare
obstacles in
Before
the way.
Christmas.
And I just was leaping those hurdles.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of
Thank
you.
you.
I'm glad that
Oh
you found joy in this movie
my
that
god.
I love. I love. I love.
I guess we all need a little joy in today's world.
I know, but it still made me have an existential crisis and cry really hard. So I don't know if it really gave me joy, but it gave me feelings of the human experience. And isn't that important?
Do you think
But
next week will bring you joy?
I don't know.
I
I
don't
honestly
know.
don't know.
She's
I don't know.
stressed about it.
I'm
I'm
stressed
gonna
about
do.
it.
I'm gonna
I'm
introduce.
stressed
I'm gonna
about it.
introduce this one. I'm gonna
Okay.
introduce this one because this has been a long fucking time coming. Okay, it's been years in the making because I have one of our listeners, Leo, has been telling me about this movie, this video game for what? How long has the podcast been? How long has Leo been a listener? A while. He's been telling me about it for a while,
I think
and
he'd
he's been
probably
wanting
travel
us to
back in
do it.
time, and he's been telling you for an additional 3 years as well.
Yeah.
He has that sort of power, so I wouldn't be surprised. But this movie is one that I have never seen, and people love this movie. People go crazy for this movie. I've seen the most insane cosplays for this movie, and that's how you know people really fuck with this shit because they spent 45,000 hours creating a big giant pyramid head creature thing, and I don't know what that is, but it is in Silent Hill 2006. And it's rated R. And one time, one of my really good friends said, "You know what the scariest movie I ever saw was?" And then they said Silent Hill. So whoa.
I feel like I have seen the like cunty, sexy leg, pyramid head cosplays, which I think is like a slutty take on what they're doing in that movie, not true to life.
There's
But I'm
like
curious to know
nurses.
more. I
There's like
think
sexy nurse ladies. There's a little girl. She doesn't have a mouth on the
I was
poster.
yeah.
What does it mean? She's silent. There's a hill. I don't know the
Who
hill.
knows?
There's it's based on a video game, and so I didn't play it.
Yeah,
I won't be
this
playing it before the
was
episode.
this was our patron vote for the quarter.
Yes.
Our patrons chose this one, and I was texting with one of them about it, our beautiful artist Ryan, and he said some things that I won't spoil, but he said some things that did give me things to look forward to in this film. So
I'm excited. This has
hopeful.
been on my list. I started it like 5 months ago. I started the movie, but then I realized it's 2 hours and 5 minutes long, and I quite simply didn't have that much time
It
before I
wasn't
had
the
to be
vibe at that
somewhere.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to pay attention to this movie too because it's been hyped to me for so long. So I'm excited to finally get into it, and I'm excited to read the like insane amount of lore that we have been we've gotten our research pre-done for us. It's already written down and ready for us. So I'm really excited to do that. And yeah, just a good opportunity just to remind you guys that we do have a Patreon. And if you are a patron of our Patreon, you can vote for things like this. You can choose a movie for us to do once a quarter. It's very exciting. It's very democratic. Not actually, but well, the people
Kind of.
actually it is democratic, but that they've started to scheme together.
Yeah, it's
to
also
work
political. People are
together.
in there whipping the vote.
They're out there whipping the vote. They're working together to get the movie, like to vote all for the same thing, so they can get at least a movie that they like to go to number one. It was neck and neck between this and Companion, but then Silent Hill pulled ahead. It's crazy. But yeah, we have a lot of fun at the Patreon, and we're all besties, and we talk all the time. We literally are talking every day, and it's fucking fun, and everyone's really cool. So you should join. And you also get all of
Join
this
us.
crazy exclusive content where we say insane things that we wouldn't even say on this podcast.
Sometimes
And that's
we do show
crazy
and tell.
because we just talked about our periods. So just imagine. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited for Silent Hill. And I'm excited also for you to give us a 5-star review. Wouldn't that be so cool? What if you went on there and you said, "Great job. Sorry that you cried. Great job."
What if you
There
went
you
on
go.
there and told Monica to never ever be mean to Sydney again? What if
Yeah,
you went on
actually,
there
I'm
and
a
left a little
I
sweet,
only-
hopscotch so she
precious
gets
baby.
the message?
Actually, I'm sensitive right now, and we're not going to write mean things about Monica in the 5-star reviews. Hopscotch, okay?
That's fine.
actually,
You get your
she's
own.
She's adopting. What about macaroni?
That doesn't speak to me. Scallop potatoes. That's mine.
Okay. Okay.
That's mine. But anyway, you could write scallop potatoes in
And
a
then we'd
5-star
have to stop
review.
being mean to Monica right now. See how that
Yeah,
works?
or you could write exactly, or you could just write hopscotch, and I'll know what you mean, and you don't have to say my name or anything bad about me. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
yeah. That's all I meant is that they should say hopscotch if the bullying has gone too far.
it's gone too far. But anyway, 5-star review. We'd love to see one. And also, why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for. Are we on Blue Sky yet, Chelsea? Are we doing things?
We have an account, but we are not yet using it. But
Get in on the ground floor at Spooky Tuesday Pod, and that is also where we are on Facebook and Tumblr. And also go to spookytuesdaypod.com for our beautiful website. See many things, learn many facts. It's very exciting. All of our references are listed there in case you can't figure out how to get to them on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. They're also there as well. And also, why not watch us on YouTube? Today you will find us just looking rather dashing, and I'm Victoria. But Chelsea's hair is very shiny today. Sydney looks very Gen Z because she has overhead earphones. You can only see that on our
big
YouTube
headphones.
channel. It's very
You know what
exciting.
they
It's very
say
on
about
trend.
big headphones? They can't find their AirPods.
That is what they say. That's what I always
is.
hear them say.
But anyway, that's it. So I have to say thank you for listening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, Spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.